So one of the great traditions of the Haas School is the selection of our commencement speaker, and I turn to that now. Each year we call upon an individual of uncommon distinction to address the MBA graduating classes. In the Berkeley Haas tradition, we also seek an individual who personifies our leadership values based on those defining principles. This year, we are delighted that the Haas School commencement speaker is such a leader, and one of our very own, Kerry Dolan. We are especially proud of Kerry as a super alumna. She earned a bachelor's degree from the undergraduate business program here at Berkeley in 1987, earned her MBA in 1997. You know, if you come back soon, Kerry, you might be able to finish your PhD by 2017, and you'd have the sevens all lined up. She now serves as Chief Financial Officer of Lending Club. With every step of her career, Kerry has sought new challenges, taken calculated risks. She makes things happen. 6 years ago, she left her dual position as Senior Vice President and Treasurer for Charles Schwab and also as CFO for Charles Schwab Bank to become Lending Club's first CFO, Chief Financial Officer. Since then, Kerry has helped build the company into the world's largest online marketplace connecting borrowers and investors. In 2014, she designed, created, and launched Lending Club's IPO, which raised $1 billion, a first in the nascent peer-to-peer lending industry. Recently, Lending Club has faced its own challenges. You've all read the news about the departure of its founding CEO. The board has now called on Kerry for her steady hand. In fact, after internal reviews with the assistance of an outside firm, board member Hans Morris said in an earnings call just last week that Kerry and acting CEO Scott Sanborn are, quote, the right people to lead Lending Club, end quote. Navigating as a leader in turbulent times takes great strength and skill, both of which you will find in spades in Kerry. I want to say just a few more things about Kerry's background. She began her career at Chevron, where she showed an early penchant for innovation by launching the Chevron Credit Bank. After a dozen years, the company she moved to, Charles Schwab, where she again set up an internal bank from scratch. You're hearing the narrative here and how she has continued to develop it in her career. Last September, American Banker named Kerry one of the most powerful women in finance, ranking number 11 on their list. In 2013, she was named the Bay Area CFO of the Year for Emerging Companies by the San Francisco Business Times. She has also been recognized as a leader who goes out of her way to help women advance their own careers. Last year, she was honored as the Financial Woman of the Year by the Financial Women of San Francisco. Fearless, energetic, cool under fire. These are some of the words that colleagues use to describe Kerry. They also say she has a, quote, quiet competence and quiet confidence. Another quote, she leads by being herself. And she unfailingly supports her people. This may all sound familiar. These are some of the very behaviors I described to you above in the context of the principles. Kerry is very much an exemplar of the type of leader we strive to produce here at Haas. Please join me in welcoming Kerry Dolan back to our campus.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you to Dean Lyons for the opportunity to be with you here today and share some thoughts. First, let me start by saying I'm extremely excited to be outside. For the last 14 days, I've actually been inside working since the news came. And so this is actually the first time I've seen the sun in 2 weeks. So I'm very excited to be here. I'm also very, very excited. Thank you. I'm also very excited to be here with you today to help you celebrate. This is such a milestone and an achievement that hopefully you all today have an opportunity to fully take in and appreciate today and celebrate. So congratulations to each of you. I remember at my graduation, I felt very proud, very excited, and to be honest, very relieved I got it done and to be over with, and that I made it through. The other thing that I remember, it was a windy day like today, and I was incredibly stressed because I was worried when I walked across the stage the hat wouldn't stay on my head. So for those of you worrying, it's less windy up here, you'll be fine. So at commencement speeches, we often talk about dreams and dreaming. And I want to make sure today you think about that for not only what you've achieved, but where you're headed. I expect you, and you should expect, to achieve great things. Push yourself, set your goals high, and imagine the impossible. Now, when I think about dreams and dreaming, it makes me think about Disney. It doesn't make you think about Disney either. Well, if you know me, just about everything makes me think about Disney. I'm a fan. You may remember in 2003, there was a movie called Finding Nemo. And in fact, in 28 days, the sequel, Finding Dory, will be released. If you remember this story, it's a story of a dad who's in search of his son, Nemo, and he needs to cross an entire ocean to find his son. It's an impossible task, but he's very, very determined. And along the way, there's a point where he is really frustrated and feels like he can't go on. And his friend Dory says, well, you know what you do when life gets you down? You just keep swimming. Just keep swimming, just keep swimming. It's a simple but very powerful message. As you push to reach for your dreams, you are going to face challenges. And sometimes these challenges will feel so big that you don't know what to do next. Sometimes you just need to just keep swimming. So as today, what I'd like to talk to you about is also just keep learning. And specifically, make it a priority to learn about yourself. So great leaders really understand their strengths and their weaknesses. Dean Lyons just talked about this, but they also understand how people perceive them. So as you think about now, as you evolve into leaders, making it a priority to really understand how you interact with others. A key milestone for me developmentally was when I really start to understand about how I was perceived. So for example, I've received feedback about being intimidating, which to me is crazy. I'm 5'4" with heels. But I think understanding my strengths, so I'm confident, I can be serious, I can be probing with questions. All these things actually can be intimidating, and it's not what I intend to do. And understanding that that may be an impact actually allows me to adjust and connect with people better, and ultimately help me lead better. Make it a priority to learn about yourself. While learning about yourself, I also believe you need to keep evolving. So we are in the epicenter of the startup world. Changes around us are fast, and new companies are created all the time. I mean, just even a couple of years ago, who would have thought that our grandmothers would be comfortable texting and sending selfies? We have to evolve. Grandma has evolved. Being aware of yourself, but also changing. So there's a Native American saying that goes like this, which is, if you think you know me, you stop my growth in your presence. I've tweaked this slightly, which is, if you think you know yourself, you've stopped evolving. I'm a work in progress. Make it a priority to just keep evolving. Now, as you think about yourself, be careful with labels. In fact, labels actually just bug me. They can be shorthand for kind of describing yourself or describing others, but I actually think labels can box you in. For example, if you think you're not creative or you're not innovative, it could actually hold you back from taking an opportunity that might need some of those attributes. Don't let labels define you. Make sure you believe that you can evolve. So I don't think of myself as an entrepreneur. And yet, 6 years ago, I joined a startup. At the time I joined, the company was tiny. We had about 40 people. The company had eked out about $7 million in revenue. And we were in a funky small space in Redwood City. Now, for many in the Bay Area, joining a startup is common now. But for me, it wasn't. Having been with two very large companies, Chevron and Schwab, it was unusual. But had I focused on whether or not I was an entrepreneur, I probably would not have actually taken the job. I focused more on what was my strengths and whether or not I could evolve. One of my favorite questions during the interview with Lending Club is they asked me if I could construct spreadsheets. And of course I could construct spreadsheets, but they were worried about whether or not I could evolve. So over the last 6 years, it's been an amazing journey. We've grown quickly, the company's evolved. We are now over 1,500 people. We actually have real office space. We've gone from being private to public. And over the years, I've grown as well. I've gone from spreadsheets to managing large teams. But I am still a work in progress, even today. So as Dean Lyons mentioned, 2 weeks ago today, myself and our management team learned about our founder's departure. Now, as you can imagine, we were shocked and very saddened. And at the same time, we actually needed to move very quickly to tackle a number of issues. And so today, we are absolutely right in the middle of a huge storm. And so the advice I'm giving you today is actually advice I need to remember for myself. More than ever, it's time to be steady and focused and listen to Dory, who says, just keep swimming. To bring to a close, thank you. So to bring to a close, make it a priority to build self-awareness and to keep evolving yourself. Ask for feedback, demand feedback, push for feedback, use self-assessment tools. Try different assignments that push you beyond your labels. You will naturally learn the company, the job, you'll deepen your expertise. But as a leader, you don't lose track about learning about yourself. This should be a continuous goal. And most of all, don't fear challenges. It's where you actually fully get to test your strengths. So while Dory would tell you to just keep swimming, I want to tell you, just keep learning, just keep evolving, and just keep dreaming. Thank you.